Welcome to Lesson 6.3 of the Grant Architect course. In this lesson, we explore staffing models, examining how to describe your team structure, qualifications, and roles in grant proposals. Staffing is often where reviewers assess whether you have the human capital to actually implement the proposed project. Strong staffing descriptions demonstrate that you have thought carefully about who will do what work and have the right people in place or a solid plan to recruit them. This section goes beyond listing names and titles to explaining how your team structure supports successful implementation. The staffing model you present should align with your proposed activities and budget. Reviewers will look for consistency between what you say you will do, who you say will do it, and what resources you request to support it. Misalignment between these elements raises concerns about planning quality. By the end of this lesson, you will understand how to present staffing in ways that demonstrate capacity and build reviewer confidence in your ability to execute the proposed work. Staffing significantly affects program success. Critical resource recognition is that staff are typically the largest budget item. Personnel costs often exceed 50% of program budgets. Getting staffing right matters financially. Quality determinant means staff quality drives program quality. The best program design fails with inadequate staff. Hiring, training, and retaining good people determines outcomes. Funder scrutiny means reviewers assess staffing appropriateness. Are positions justified? Are qualifications appropriate? Is the staffing level sufficient? Reviewers evaluate your staffing plan. Budget alignment requires staffing to match scope and available funds. You cannot staff beyond your budget. Staffing must fit within financial constraints. Different types of staff positions serve different functions. Direct service staff deliver program services to participants. Case managers, counselors, trainers, and teachers directly serve clients. They implement the program intervention. Administrative staff handle management, finance, HR, and operations. Executive leadership, financial management, human resources, and general administration support program delivery. Support staff provide clerical, reception, and data entry functions. Administrative assistants, receptionists, and data clerks enable operations. They support direct service and administrative staff. Specialized staff handle evaluation, technology, and communications. Evaluators assess outcomes. IT staff maintain systems. Communications staff manage outreach. Specialized functions may be part-time or contracted. Understanding full-time equivalent standardizes staffing measurement. The definition is a standard measure of staff effort. FTE allows comparison across different work arrangements. One FTE represents one full-time position worth of effort. Calculation divides hours worked by full-time hours. If full-time is 40 hours per week, 20 hours equals half an FTE. The formula is actual hours divided by standard hours. Examples illustrate common FTE values. 1.0 FTE equals full-time, 0.5 FTE equals half-time, 0.25 FTE equals 10 hours weekly in a 40-hour standard. Aggregation totals FTE across positions. A project might have 3.5 FTE from one full-time position, one three-quarter position, one half-time position, and one quarter-time position. Key personnel descriptions require attention to both qualifications and roles. For the project director or principal investigator, provide a comprehensive description of their qualifications, including education, relevant experience, and track record with similar projects. The project director is often scrutinized most closely because their leadership determines project success. Explain not just what they have done, but what they have accomplished. For other key positions, describe qualifications that specifically match role requirements. A financial manager should have relevant financial credentials. A clinical supervisor should have appropriate licensure and clinical experience. Match qualifications to responsibilities. Time commitment for each position should be specified clearly. What percentage of time will each person dedicate to this project? Sufficient time allocation is essential for success. Underfunding key positions raises concerns about whether staff can actually do the proposed work. For positions to be hired, describe the qualifications you will seek and your recruitment strategy. How will you find qualified candidates? What is your timeline for hiring? How will you ensure continuity if recruitment takes longer than expected? Acknowledging hiring challenges while presenting mitigation strategies demonstrates realistic planning. Staffing ratios help determine appropriate staffing levels. Caseload ratios express clients per direct service staff. A case manager serving 40 clients has a ratio of 40:1. Ratios vary by program intensity. Supervision ratios express staff per supervisor. One supervisor for every 5 to 7 direct reports is common. Very flat or very hierarchical structures raise questions. Industry standards provide common ratios for program types. Evidence-based programs often specify ratios. Funders may have expectations based on similar programs. Know the standards for your field. Justification explains why your ratios are appropriate. If your ratios differ from standards, explain why. Program intensity, population needs, or other factors may justify variation. Building a staffing plan follows logical steps. Start with activities by identifying what work needs to be done. List all the tasks required to implement your program. Be comprehensive. Estimate time by determining how many hours for each activity. How long does it take to do initial assessments? How much time for each service session? Estimate realistically. Cluster tasks to determine what positions make sense. Group related activities into positions. A case manager might do assessment, service planning, and referral coordination. Group logically. Determine level by identifying what qualifications are needed. Does the position require a master's degree, professional licensure, specific experience? Qualifications affect both capability and cost. Position descriptions in proposals specify staffing details. Title should be a clear, descriptive job title. Project coordinator, case manager, data analyst. Titles should indicate the role clearly. Responsibilities list key duties for the position. What will this person do? List major responsibilities, not exhaustive task lists. Focus on most important functions. Qualifications state required education and experience. Bachelor's degree required, master's preferred. 3 years relevant experience. Be specific about what you need. Time allocation shows FTE and percentage on project. 0.5 FTE, 50% time on this project. Clarity about allocation helps reviewers understand the staffing plan. Staffing tables provide a clear visual summary of your project team structure. Effective staffing tables include several key elements. First, include position titles that accurately reflect roles and responsibilities. Use standard titles that reviewers will understand rather than internal designations that may be unfamiliar. Second, specify the percent time or full-time equivalent each position will dedicate to the project. This helps reviewers understand the level of effort being proposed and assess whether it is appropriate for the scope of work. Third, include information about whether positions are existing or to be hired. For existing staff, this demonstrates current capacity. For positions to be hired, this shows realistic planning for recruitment. Fourth, note the funding source for each position. Some positions may be funded entirely by the grant, while others may be cost-shared or supported by other sources. This information should align with your budget. Fifth, briefly describe key qualifications or responsibilities for each position. This helps reviewers understand how the positions fit together as a team. Keep descriptions concise but informative. Staffing tables should be easy to read at a glance while providing essential information about your team structure. Existing staff versus new hires affects implementation. Existing staff are currently employed with known capability. They can start immediately. Their qualifications are proven. Using existing staff reduces risk. New hires will be recruited with uncertain timing. Recruitment takes time. Quality of hires is unknown until they start. New positions create uncertainty. Hybrid approach uses some existing and some new positions. Core functions might be staffed by current employees. Growth positions might be new hires. Mix manages risk while enabling expansion. Risk consideration recognizes that new hires create implementation uncertainty. Funders may want to know if key positions are filled or will be recruited. Identify which positions are existing versus new. Administrative cost considerations affect budgeting. Direct versus indirect places staff costs in different categories. Staff directly implementing the program are direct costs. Administrative staff may be direct or indirect depending on role and funder rules. Administrative caps are funder limits on administrative costs. Some funders limit administrative costs to 10 or 15%. Know the limits and plan accordingly. Reasonable allocation means justified distribution of effort. If staff work on multiple projects, allocation across budgets should reflect actual effort. Cost allocation plans provide systematic distribution across funding sources. Organizations with multiple grants need consistent methods for allocating shared costs. Plans should be documented and consistently applied. Common staffing mistakes can undermine otherwise strong proposals. One frequent error is underestimating the level of effort required. Reviewers will assess whether your proposed staffing is realistic for the scope of work. If you propose ambitious activities with minimal staffing, reviewers may doubt feasibility. Another mistake is over-reliance on to-be-hired staff. While some new hiring is expected, proposals that depend entirely on future recruitment may seem risky. Where possible, identify specific individuals or describe your pipeline for recruitment. Vague position descriptions that do not clarify roles and responsibilities create confusion. Each position should have a clear purpose that connects to specific project activities. Misalignment between staffing and budget is a red flag. If your staffing table shows 10% effort but your budget requests 30% salary, reviewers will notice the discrepancy. Ensure consistency across all proposal sections. Neglecting to address supervision and accountability structures leaves reviewers wondering how staff will be managed. Describe reporting relationships and oversight mechanisms. Finally, failing to explain how part-time or shared staff will prioritize this project among competing demands raises feasibility concerns. Address this directly. Presenting staffing strengths strategically builds confidence in your team. Lead with your strongest credentials. If you have nationally recognized experts, highlight them prominently. If your staff have direct experience with similar projects, emphasize this relevant background. Connect staff qualifications explicitly to project requirements. Do not assume reviewers will make connections between credentials and needs. State directly how each team member's experience prepares them for their project role. Highlight complementary expertise within your team. Strong teams bring together different skills and perspectives. Describe how your team members complement each other and how their combined expertise exceeds what any individual could provide. Address potential weaknesses proactively. If your team lacks certain expertise, describe how you will address this through training, consultation, or partnership. Acknowledging gaps while presenting solutions demonstrates realistic planning. Include evidence of team cohesion. Have team members worked together before? Do they have track records of successful collaboration? Prior working relationships reduce startup friction and implementation risk. Consider including letters of commitment from key personnel, especially those who are not current employees, to demonstrate their genuine intention to participate. Here is a practical application exercise for staffing models. Step 1 involves creating a comprehensive staffing table for your project. List all positions, percent time, funding sources, and key qualifications. Ensure alignment with your proposed activities and budget. Step 2 requires writing position descriptions for each role. Describe responsibilities, required qualifications, and how each position contributes to project success. Be specific enough that reviewers understand what each person will actually do. Step 3 asks you to identify your staffing strengths and how to highlight them. What unique qualifications does your team bring? What relevant experience can you emphasize? What successful collaborations demonstrate team cohesion? Step 4 involves addressing any staffing concerns proactively. Are there positions to be hired? Describe your recruitment strategy. Are there expertise gaps? Explain how you will address them. Are there potential capacity concerns? Describe how you will manage competing demands. Complete this exercise to develop staffing content that demonstrates both current capacity and realistic planning for any needed expansion. Let us summarize the key points from this lesson. FTE calculation provides a standard measure of staff effort, enabling comparison across positions and projects. Understanding FTE is essential for proposal budgeting. Staffing plans match activities to positions. Start with what needs to be done, estimate time required, and design positions accordingly. Logical staffing plans demonstrate thoughtful planning. Presentation uses clear tables and descriptions. Staffing information should be easy for reviewers to understand. Tables, position descriptions, and summaries communicate effectively. In our next lesson, we will explore biosketches in NIH and NSF format, focusing on the structured biographical sketch required for federal research applications.